5:33 this hour, brought to you by Allstate Auto Glass, 856-624-4586. Visit allstateautomotive.com. We turn our attention, the Eagles and the Cowboys coming off the bye week. The Eagles hit the road in Big D, as you heard Jen tell you. The Eagles and the Cowboys are meeting for the 114th time. The Cowboys lead that series 66-49. The interesting part about these two teams in recent history, the Eagles have won both their games in Arlington under Chip Kelly, including last year's 33-10 domination on Thanksgiving Day. Since joining the Eagles in 2013, Chip Kelly is 9-6 in the division. He can make it 10-6 with a win over the Cowboys, which is right par for the course, is where he's been. First 2 years in the league, 10-6, 10-6. Can he go 10-6 to start his NFC East career against the NFC East? Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City joins us, as he does each week at this time, with a look at the Eagles' practice on Wednesday. 10-6 against the division would mean a victory over the Cowboys. It would be 3 straight wins, Dave, in Dallas. I mean, that's something there that seems like it's pretty tough to do, win 3 straight games in Dallas, but that's what they're going to have to do on Sunday.
Yeah, well, it's not as tough as you think. For whatever reason, I don't know if it's the stadium or the atmosphere, don't generally play too well at home. And I guess it's maybe because the stadium is so big, it's almost like it sucks all the energy out of the atmosphere there. It's almost like, I don't know if you've ever been there, but it's like having the Mall of America with a football field in it. There's like a lot of distractions, a lot of attractions, that huge scoreboard that hovers over the entire field. It just doesn't feel like a football stadium, really. It's more of an attraction in itself rather than the home of a team. And I guess maybe that prevents the Cowboys from having any real big home field advantage there. So I'm really not surprised that the Eagles have been able to win 2 there.
Well, they are 4-3 at AT&T Stadium since that's been built, including wins the last 2 years. Dave, come out of the bye. Obviously, a lot of questions about this team. Let's start off with a couple of injuries here, because it seems like the whole division has a story with injuries. JPP,
sure.
Prince Amukamara, Romo. We know the Cowboys situation. Looks like Deshaun could be back in Washington. It seems like everybody forgets the Eagles have their own. How important do you think it is? I know we don't know a lot about them, but how important is it to get Kiko Alonso back to a defense that's already pretty good?
Well, it's going to be important if D'Amico Ryans can't play. He didn't practice today with that hamstring issue that seems to be flaring up again. So the more inside linebackers they have available, the better they're going to be. On the surface, if Ryans can play and Ryans healthy, it's going to be. They're going to have a tough time finding playing time for all 4 guys, because I think Jordan Hicks has certainly proven that he deserves to be on the field. He leads the team in tackles. Seems to be always around the football, whether it's forcing fumbles or interceptions or that kind of thing. So you can't put him on the bench. So I think it's going to be, if they have all 4 guys, it's going to be tough for Billy Davis to find a spot for Kiko. If he hasn't played in 5 weeks, so you would think that he might be a little bit rusty. So I would assume that they'll kind of ease him back a little bit for the first game and maybe gradually increase his playing time as the gets more into the swing of things.
Of the linebackers, though, of the 4, I mean, I know Hicks is a rookie. Kendricks, we know a little bit more about. D'Amico, very steady. Isn't Alonso, realistically, isn't he the best of the bunch? I mean, isn't he supposed to be the most dynamic of the 4?
Based on his background, yeah. I mean, he was pretty much the defensive rookie of the year as a rookie in 2013, but there's always that injury factor. He didn't play at all last year, and now he's been back on the sideline. So I don't know if you can automatically assume that he's the best. I mean, when he's healthy, he is, but he hasn't been healthy in a while. And I think you're kind of shortchanging Michael Kendricks a little bit too. He's a pretty dynamic playmaker, I think, as well when healthy again, which he hasn't been. But he has the ability to both rush the passer and drop into coverage. I think he might be more of an all-around player than Kiko is, although Kiko certainly has a lot of ability as well.
Yeah, I know. I liken him. I don't know that he's better than or on par with Kuechly and Lee, but I think he's that kind of player in Buffalo. He meant like that to what those guys mean to their defense. Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City. Jason Peters, no practice today. He seemed like he was pretty confident before the bye week that he was going to play. Are they just kind of being precautionary with him?
I really don't know. Jason hasn't been available to talk, and they haven't really mentioned much about it. But they definitely need him with Greg Hardy back in the Cowboys lineup. They're going to need all their offensive linemen to be ready to play. So if he can't go, that's going to really set them back. There's been talk that they might move Lane Johnson over to left tackle. I don't see how that's going to help much, only because the Cowboys moved Greg Hardy around. So I would think that if Lane lines up at left tackle, they're just going to move him to the other side to go against Matt Tobin, no matter where he's lined up. So that doesn't seem to make much sense to me. But if you have Peters and Johnson both out there, I think that will definitely help the Eagles' offense, especially with a top player like Hardy.
No doubt about it, and that's one thing that's different about the Cowboys this time around. They didn't have Hardy, and yet the Eagles still struggled to move the ball. Should we think that there's any reason to believe that will be different this time around?
No. I mean, they didn't move the ball against Carolina either, so they haven't really done much to instill a lot of confidence in their offense. I mean, they talk a real good game about how they, worked out the kinks and they're working hard and receivers are going to stop dropping passes, but it's been 7 games and they still drop as many passes as anybody in the league. So I don't know how that's going to change just because they're back from a bye.
Yeah.
They still have a lot of problems. It doesn't seem like they've been able to figure out their running game yet. It looks like Chip finally convinced Ryan Matthews that he does have a groin issue, so he's supposed to say that he's not quite, at full strength to give DeMarco more carries, I guess. I don't know. But as we've talked about often in the last 2 or 3 weeks, it's pretty clear that Ryan Matthews is their best running back. But until they admit it and give him more carries, I just don't see how the running game is going to be all that productive.
Yeah, and they have run the ball better since they did the first time they played Dallas. They seem like they've gotten better in the run game. And Chip talked about that yesterday in talks in terms of the blocking. He just said it's basic fundamentals and technique. Are you seeing the offensive line, have those issues kind of dissipated somewhat?
A little bit, although I don't think they played really all that well against Carolina. Even Lane Johnson, I was talking to him yesterday and today, and he's been pretty disappointed with the performance of the offensive line. Jason Kelsey was pretty upset after the Panthers game. I remember talking to him in the locker room in Carolina, and he was kind of dumbfounded at the mistakes they were making, the penalties and things. So, and they had that errant snap, and They've shown flashes that they can be a pretty good offensive line. I think they had like 2 or 3 games where they would seem to be better, that they had overcome their issues that plagued them in the beginning of the season. But I think they've kind of regressed a little bit, against Carolina. So it'll be interesting to see if they can iron out what was bothering them in that game in time to take on the Cowboys.
Dave Weinberg from the Press of Atlantic City. Dave, a report yesterday kind of came out about Sam Bradford saying there was a contract offer which seemed like anybody would take, saying that he refuted that contract. Yeah. Today he refuted the report, saying it got lost in the mail. Right. I mean, if Bradford got offered that deal back then, he'd be a fool not to take that, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's better to have that contract in your hand than to go into the season with an unknown like he's doing. I mean, I tend to believe that it really didn't happen, that maybe there was an offer, but it really wasn't a substantial one. Otherwise, like you said, why would he not take it? Because he's kind of rolling the dice here by, coming into the season on essentially a 1-year deal playing for his future, and which Jeremy Maclin did last year as well. So, it can be done, but when you're a quarterback, if somebody's willing to throw a boatload of money at you, you'd be crazy not to take it. So that I tend to believe that maybe that offer really didn't happen.
All right, I know that this is a Cowboys team that's lost 5 in a row without Romo. The last week, the quarterback failed to go over 100 yards passing. They did get Des Bryant back, but I would assume, even though they're struggling, it's still a dangerous opponent.
I guess so. I mean, they're dangerous because of their defense, but I think if the Eagles if the Eagles can score 3 touchdowns, they're going to win this game easy. I just don't see the Cowboys scoring. Matt Castle's terrible. Brandon Whedon's worse than him. So, it's nice that Des Bryant is back for them, but if you don't have anybody to throw the ball to, what does it matter? I mean, he had 2 catches for 12 yards last week, and they just cut Joseph Randall, so that puts all the pressure on McFadden to get the running game going. I just don't see how the Cowboys are going to be able to score any points on Sunday.
All right, Dave. Riley Cooper, better with ponytail or without ponytail?
Better receiver, you mean? Or,
will it help? Will it give him a couple extra? Will it give him a 0.2 in the dash?
He kind of looks cooler with the ponytail. I wish I had one, but I don't have any hair at all. So I guess I'm more jealous of him than anything.
They got wigs and hair restoration kind of deals. Maybe we could work something out for this segment. Maybe.
Yeah, there you go. Hair clip for men. That would be good.
Dave Weinberg, Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com for more on the Eagles. Jason Peters, D'Amico Ryans, both did not practice today. Kiko Alonso, Nelson Aguilar, another guy who missed last game, back on the field. So the Eagles trying to get healthy as they get ready to take on the Cowboys. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it as always.